next up is Am I Blue from the apprenticeship years?
That's definitely, that's an arrangement that when I first started doing kind of my first era would have been playing Bob Dylan songs and Neil Young songs and a couple of old folk songs that I got from records in the library. Then the next stage was becoming aware of Mississippi John Hurt and people like that, and Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee, and kind of learning to emulate that thing. Then studying jazz history and R&B history, kind of realizing Louis Jordan and Buddy Johnson and all of that whole era, and then trying to adapt that kind of orchestral sound, which is a small band sound, but trying to bring that into a solo context and make that into a, you know, something that a songster would do, like thinking there were songsters just because there was a book that was Songsters and Saints that a blues historian had written, and there was a way for them to try to figure out what was Mississippi John Hurt's music or what was Mance Lipscomb's music, and it really was the music. You know, our favorite bluesman, more than likely in the course of a night, played, you know, T for Two or something, whatever was a pop hit that they had heard. They weren't living in a vacuum, nor were they living in a, you know, utterly mysterious land that, you know, had different rules than the rest of the world. Mississippi actually was on Earth, and there were jukeboxes that played. I've been reading some beautiful works of criticism lately. That this guy Elijah Wald has written a lot of beautiful stuff about kind of the context of where all this music came.
Sure, I mean, it seemed to have shaken the world when it was discovered that Charlie Parker liked Hank Williams.
Oh yeah, yes, and even the idea that I mean, you know, when Robert Johnson's photo showed up and he had a very citified suit on, it was like, whoa, man! Everyone thought he was this, you know, rustic, you know,
field hand.
Yeah, it just came out of the field, and these guys were sophisticated gentlemen. But at any rate, I was kind of doing the reverse thing. I was trying to figure out how to play sort of uptown stuff in a solo context, and so that version of "Am I Blue" is based pretty heavily on Buddy Johnson's version.
Which is a solo version as well?
No, it's a band version, so it's my kind of distillation of that riffing that goes on in that tune.
So where do you begin to voice the guitar chords for a band?
Well, I mean,
performance.
The stuff that I learned in college from these guys that I mentioned earlier was a gateway to that kind of structure, where it's, you know, it's major seventh chords and major seventh progressions.
I knew it.
But it was, you know, that helped because that was kind of the lingo that those bands were speaking. So that was something to do. But I've always liked that arrangement, and I've always, I think I recorded it way back then and never released that stuff just because you know, we don't have access to much money out here, or anyone that's interested to put our stuff out. So I mean, as the time has gone on, I've eventually just put my own things out. I would rather have someone blow the trumpets a little louder than I'm capable of to say, hey, here's something, here it is. And I appreciate you asking me these questions. That's one way to do that. But I've always liked the arrangement, and I like revisiting every once in a while. Because I think as time goes on, you do tend to streamline, and you do tend to like give more space to things and to try and fit less in. So I was real happy with that.
Fit less in. Not a bad ethic. We spoke about this before, about the evolution of your voice. I remember in the 80s it sounded quite, it was full, it had a certain gruffness, more like a baritone sax. Now it's more trombone-y, more fluid. Usually it happens in reverse. People's voices start higher and then get kind of husky and low. So is this just what happens from playing with a band?
I think it. I mean, I've been singing a lot for many years, and so I think that's. I mean, in a bad stretch, if I've played 5 gigs, if we record me the next day, I'm sure I have a little more of a gruff sound going on. But I do think that there is more flexibility that's come from having sung as many dates as I've sung, and I think
how many do you think?
I don't know. I can't tell you. I've been
4 figures for sure.
We're at the end. We're just about finishing the 24th year as a dance band. You know, I've had a couple of different names through this time, but it's been the same band as a continuity for 24 years. Before that, I had the little band with Rip, and that was probably 4 years before that, and I was with the Cadets as well. So it's 30. I don't know. My first paying gigs were 76, so I don't know what that is. That's 34 years.
Has to be in the 4 figures.
I don't know.
As far as number of gigs.
Yeah.
Not many people get to live that kind of a life.